Okay, so this is the first video of your work solutions for review set 15A, and the first thing we're going to do is use our patterns or our rules to differentiate. So from the first one, we're going to multiply the number in front by the power, which is 15, and then we're going to reduce the power by 1 squared. Nice and easy one to start with. The second one, we're going to remember from our rules that we look at each of our terms separately. So the first one, we multiply by the power and then reduce the power by 1, which is 1. The second one, we multiply by the power, which is this imaginary 1 up here. So minus 3 times 1, minus 3. Now we reduce the power. 1 take 1 is 0. So x to the power of 0 is 1, so we can leave it blank. 14x minus 3. The next one, we have a tricky one here because we have this 4 over x squared term. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to leave it as fx. We're not differentiating yet. And we're going to simplify that a little, or put it into a term that we can use to differentiate. And we know that if we have an x squared on the bottom of a fraction, that means that it's x to the power of a negative 2 because it's squared. And now we can differentiate. We know constants differentiate to 0, so we can ignore that. And now we're going to times the number out the front of our x by the negative. So we have negative 4 times negative 2, so we're going to end up with positive 8. The negative 2 is going to reduce by 1 down to negative 3. And we'll simplify that by x. And remember, the negative means that it goes onto the bottom line, and it's x to the power of 3. This one here we need to simplify as well first. So we have 4 times x to the power of a half, subtract 1 times x 2, and because the square root of x here is on the bottom, is going to be x to the negative 1/2. So now we can differentiate. We're going to multiply the number out the front by the power to start off with. 4 times a half gives us 2. A half subtract 1 is negative a half. So we are now to the power of negative a half. Now we look at our next term here. Negative a half multiplied by the negative imaginary 1 gives us positive a half. Negative a half subtract 1 leaves us with minus 1.5, or minus 3 on 2. So now we simplify these terms down. So we have 2 over x, the half means it's square rooted, plus 1 over 2 times, now x to the power of a fraction means we have x cubed square rooted. Now we can simplify this further down because x cubed is the same as x squared times x, which means that we can square root this first x squared. So we end up with 2 over the square root of x plus 1 over 2x times the square root of x.